Kevin and Brian, though they were our sons, grew very close to Lisa. She misled them with lies, causing them to ignore us. After Lisa, Kevin and Brian were asked to leave our home. My husband Michael suddenly passed away. When I told Kevin about his father's death over the phone, his reaction shocked me. He said, "Your dad passed away. You handled the funeral, Mom. I don't want to see the face of someone who kicked us out. We're having a great time here, so don't bother us. Just tell the relatives we can't come because of work or something." I was speechless. A week after the funeral, I got a letter from Michael addressed to me. He wrote, "Please read this without our sons knowing." As I read, I was filled with emotion. Lisa had caused so much trouble in our family, and Kevin and Brian didn't even come to their father's funeral. I couldn't let it end this way. My name is Olivia. I'm 56 years old, a housewife, and I also work full-time. I met Michael at a party for new employees at our related companies. I'm not much of a drinker, but I couldn't turn down the drinks I was offered and ended up feeling very sick. I was sitting in a corner looking for a chance to leave when Michael noticed me. He started talking to me and even arranged a taxi for me later. I took a day off to thank him, and at his office, he was surprised to see me but pleased. We became friends, started dating, and eventually got married. We both longed for a warm family life. Michael had a tough upbringing, and I lost my parents when I was young. We believed we could be happy together, but living with each other brought unexpected challenges, mostly because of Michael's sister, Lisa. Before the wedding, I tried to meet her, but she was too busy. Our first meeting was at the wedding. Michael's parents had passed away, so it was a simple ceremony with just friends and relatives. Lisa drew attention in many ways. She wore a pure white dress that was quite revealing, heavy makeup like a stage actress, and lots of perfume. I tried not to show how upset I was, but Lisa either noticed or just didn't like me from the start. She didn't say hello and made fun of me. She said to Michael, "Couldn't you find someone better at your workplace?" Having such a plain sister-in-law is embarrassing. But maybe she suits you, Mr. Super Serious. Michael looked like he wanted to argue, but a fight on our wedding day seemed like a bad sign. I said, "I'm fine, let's go get ready." I forced a smile and led Michael away. That was our awful first impression, but I didn't worry too much, thinking we would only see Lisa at family gatherings now and then. However, things changed dramatically. Soon after a short marriage, Lisa moved in with us because of her husband's cheating. She said, "My ex left, and I want to move out too." Our parents sold their place when I got married, so I can't go back to my parents' house. Can I stay at Michael's place for a while? Michael was clearly annoyed and said, "Why don't you rent an apartment? You got plenty of alimony, right? Just let me stay until I find a nice place." I want to take my time, not settle for a rundown house. But in the end, Lisa just showed up with her stuff and moved in without asking. The main issue was Lisa didn't seem to realize we were taking care of her. She acted like it was her own house, which was very stressful for Michael and me. Lisa would go out every night, sleep until the afternoon, and then spend the day lounging on the living room sofa, playing with her phone or just watching TV. This was her routine until she went out again after dinner. Sometimes I took a day off and stayed home, so I saw this was what she did every day. When I came home tired in the evening after working all day, Lisa would ask in a complaining tone, "Hey, is dinner ready yet?" "How long until it's done?" I would say, "In about 15 minutes." She would reply, "That long? Hurry up, will you?" She also made rude comments about my cleaning, saying things like, "You're not very good at this," or "You're cutting corners." I share the cleaning duties with Michael. He's tired too. Lisa told me. As a wife, you should be doing all the household chores. I didn't want to complain to Michael about Lisa because I didn't want to ruin their relationship as siblings. But he noticed that I was becoming unhappy. When Michael asked me about it and I told him about Lisa's behavior, he got really angry. He told Lisa, "Don't overstep your boundaries. You're just a guest here." But Lisa just shrugged and said, "I'm just stating the obvious," and refused to help pay for household expenses. She said, "I'm still in shock from my husband's cheating. How can I work in this state? And you want to charge me? I can afford to pay for clothes and go out drinking." Lisa's attitude made both Michael and me very upset. My dream of a happy married life was turning into a nightmare because of her. Michael and I wanted to have kids soon, but it seemed like the stress over Lisa was getting in the way. We were even thinking about getting medical checks when I found out I was pregnant. In our 6 years of marriage, we were so happy and cried tears of joy. Michael saw this as a chance to suggest Lisa move out. He told her, "We're going to need more space when the baby comes. Maybe it's time you move to your own place." Then Lisa asked me, "What do you plan to do about work?" I said, "I plan to return to work after a year of parental leave." She offered, "Well, I can look after the baby. But we plan to use daycare." I checked around and found out that all the daycares, even the unlicensed ones, had long waiting lists. A few months later, as my belly began to show, Lisa said confidently, "I'll take care of the baby until you get a daycare spot. I owe you, and I'll do it for free. It'll be tough on your finances if you quit your job." After discussing it, Michael and I reluctantly agreed to let Lisa help. I was very worried, but to my surprise, Lisa took excellent care of our newborn Kevin. She learned about childcare online, prepared his meals, and even took him to parks and community centers. She was so dedicated to Kevin, and it showed in how much he adored her. Even when our second son, Brian, was born 3 years later, Lisa's care didn't change. With Michael and me busy at work, we were thankful for her help with the kids. But as the boys grew older, they started to avoid us more. When we suggested going to the amusement park or having a barbecue for Brian's birthday, they would say, "Lisa already took us to a fancy place," or "We're going with Lisa to a high-end sushi restaurant." It was hard for Michael and me to see how excited they were about spending time with Lisa. Even after Kevin and Brian started elementary school, they preferred being with Lisa. Even on weekends, they barely talked to us and acted like we weren't important, spending all their time playing games or going out with her. Things got even worse as Kevin got older. He openly showed he didn't like us, ignored us, and even made rude noises when we tried to talk to him. Once, when I told him not to eat while playing on his phone, he snapped at me, "Shut up, old lady." I was shocked to hear him say it. Would have been great if Lisa was our mom. She gives us money and takes us places. The boys even said being born to us was a mistake, and that they heard from Lisa we didn't really want kids. That hurt a lot. I calmly explained that Lisa, while not working and just living off her alimony, wasn't contributing financially. Kevin dreamily said, "Lisa's lifestyle is something to aspire to," and added, "But she raised us right. Complaining about her seems weird." They even questioned if we wanted kids at all, believing Lisa's claim that we had them just out of obligation, which was not true. Michael and I always wanted kids, and Lisa had only offered to help until we found daycare. I was very upset and couldn't believe what Kevin was saying to me. He smirked when he saw how upset I was and said, "You guys are always so annoying, telling us to do homework and that we play too many games." Lisa says it's fine not to do homework and even stays up playing games with us until morning. I snapped back, "Lisa isn't responsible for your future. Your dad and I tell you these things because we care about you, even if it means you might hate us. Yeah, right. You're just jealous because we're close to Lisa. How dumb. Maybe you shouldn't have let her take care of us. I felt like crying. When I looked up, I saw Michael at the doorway, his fist shaking. He asked, "Who do you think you're talking to?" "Oh, hey, Dad. Working late again today." Must be tough with such a small salary. The boys laughed mockingly, leaving Michael speechless. "Finally, you talked to us and it. Just to mock your parents," Michael shouted. "Stop being so loud," Lisa called out as she came downstairs to the kitchen, looking annoyed. "Getting worked up over what kids say is so immature." "It's because you spoil them that they're like this," Michael yelled. "I've had enough. Get out now." "What, I've been nice to my nephews, and this is the thanks I get." "If you're going to stay, then pay your way," Michael said. Lisa puffed up her cheeks and finally agreed. "Fine, I'll leave." "Happy now?" "Lisa, you're really leaving?" I asked. "No way," Lisa replied defiantly. But Lisa quickly went to her room, packed her things in a suitcase, and came down to the entrance. "I've put my clothes in boxes. I've arranged for movers this weekend." "Leave it until then, okay, Lisa." "Are you really going?" "Yes, take care." She smiled at Kevin and Brian as they saw her off to the gate. Then she left, but it was too late to fix the relationship between us and our sons. As teenagers, Kevin and Brian became more rebellious. Kevin quit his job within a month after finishing high school, and 1 year later, Brian quit his job after just a few days. They talked about starting a business together and made some questionable deals, spending their money from odd jobs in one night. After a big argument, Michael kicked them out of the house. "When you get a job, come back." "No way we'll ever come back to this place." And so Lisa, who had caused so much trouble in our family, and the son she influenced, Kevin and Brian, left. It was back to just my husband and me. I was worried about how Kevin and Brian were doing, but without the four of them causing chaos, I felt relieved. At the end of the year, just as I was about to leave work and head home, I got a call from Michael's colleague. "Are you Olivia?" Michael collapsed at work. He's currently in the ICU at the city hospital. I said I would be there right away. I tried to stay calm and drove to the hospital. At the ICU, I waited in the hallway until the doors opened and a doctor in a white coat came out. He looked sad as he told me, "We did our best, but I'm sorry." I was too shocked to speak. That morning, Michael had left for work as usual. We had talked about keeping our schedule open for our anniversary next month. Sure, the usual restaurant. I have a surprise planned for this year. I never thought that would be our last conversation. Everything felt gray and meaningless as I stood there. I decided to contact Kevin, Brian, and Lisa to tell them Michael had passed away. I left a voicemail and sent a message. That night, Kevin called back. I could hear music and laughter in the background. As I tried to tell him about his father, my voice shook. Kevin laughed and said, "The funeral and stuff, I'll leave it to you, Mom. I don't want to see the face of someone who kicked us out. We're having fun here, so don't bother us." I could hear Lisa chuckling in the background. "Just tell the relatives we're absent because of work. Say hi to them for us." I stood in shock for a while, holding the phone. Were these really Michael's sons and sisters? Feeling empty, I knew I had to go ahead with the funeral arrangements. I got in touch with Michael's family and the funeral home we usually use to arrange a family funeral. Saying goodbye so suddenly didn't feel real, and I didn't cry during the funeral. But as everyday life continued, the pain of losing Michael kept hitting me. While making dinner, setting up to record a TV show we watched together, or making coffee, I'd accidentally make enough for 3 or start talking to him before realizing he was no longer there. That's when I couldn't hold back the tears. A week after Michael passed away, I was watering the flowers when the mailman arrived. I took the mail inside, and among the junk mail, I found an envelope addressed to me. The handwriting was unmistakably Michael's. Overwhelmed with emotion, I opened it. The letter explained that he had asked a friend to send this if something happened to him. After expressing his thanks for our years together, one line stood out, asking me to keep this from our sons. Moved by the letter and realizing how much Michael knew, I worried about the kids. I wiped away my tears and decided to take action. Lisa had hurt our family, and Kevin and Brian hadn't even come to their father's funeral. I was determined not to let it end this way. Michael's letter mentioned a package in a safety deposit box at a bank near the station, and he included a key. I went to the bank, entered the safety deposit box area next to the ATMs, and nervously followed the instructions. I inserted the card, entered the PIN, and a part of the table opened to reveal the safety deposit box Michael had rented. I used the key, found everything Michael mentioned, and took them with me. Later, I invited Lisa, Kevin, and Brian to my house. I decided to share Michael's inheritance with everyone important to him. With the promise of inheritance, Lisa, Kevin, and Brian came quickly. They had skipped the funeral, but were eager for the inheritance, which showed their shamelessness. Lisa couldn't even wait while I was making tea. She blurted out, stingy Michael had an inheritance. Maybe he hid money because he was so stingy. Being stingy might not be so bad after all. I wonder if he put his inheritance in some account. I'm excited. Then she looked at me and smiled. You did the right thing telling your sister-in-law, Mom. Stop beating around the bush. Is Dad's inheritance in jewels? Maybe gold bars. As they all fidgeted, I smiled and said, before that, please listen to this. I put an IC recorder and Michael's cell phone on the dining table, which confused them. Is that Dad's cell phone? And what's this, an IC recorder? The kind used for investigating affairs? I see it on TV. Wait, did Dad have an affair? Kevin laughed mockingly, but his smile vanished when I pressed play. Kevin's voice came through, talking on the phone. Yeah, remember that old lady you met at our house, Lisa? She wears so much makeup and clings to me, calling me Kevin dear. It's gross, but she'll hand over money if you flatter her. There's a use for fools and old ladies. As Kevin froze, Lisa's face filled with anger when the recording stopped. Lisa angrily asked, "What was that, Kevin?" He replied, "I don't know, a stranger maybe, or Dad recorded that voice." Over Lisa's shouted protest, Kevin continued, Michael was too tech illiterate to do something like that. As Lisa and Kevin argued, Brian tried to leave quietly. I quickly played the second recording. How much money did you get from Lisa? $333,000. Damn, I only got $3,000. What did you do? Gave her a bouquet of roses and a high-end bag for her birthday. Maybe I'll give her a fake brand next time. She can't tell the difference. Kevin and Brian laughed, revealing their true colors. She loves getting gifts from men. Even though she's almost 50, she still acts young, falling for every compliment from men she meets at the bar and spending a lot of money on them. She's an easy target, really foolish. The brothers didn't hold back in their ridicule, even mocking her blonde hair and her unrealistic dream of marrying a young Korean pop star, which they found creepy. Amidst Kevin and Brian's laughter, after the recording suddenly stopped, Brian, with a forced smile, defensively muttered, "Man, when did Dad record this and show it to Mom after he's gone? That's just mean." Pretending to be a good guy, but those are the ones you can't trust. Even now, they continued to insult Michael, which made me very angry. Before I could speak, Lisa yelled at them, "You dare mock people. Who do you think raised you since you were kids? Don't mess with me. See, that's what's so annoying about you, always acting like we owe you." They replied, and Kevin and Brian's laughter made Lisa's ears turn red with anger. "Now it's your turn, Lisa, having a favorite bar to go to. That's quite nice, isn't it?" As I reached for the IC recorder, Lisa's face tensed up. Without hesitation, I pressed play. First, lively music and clinking glasses, then Lisa's high-pitched voice came through. "That's right. I've had my nephews wrapped around my finger since they were little. I filled their heads with all sorts of nonsense about their parents. Kids are easy to manipulate. Oh, Lisa, you're so clever," praised the man proudly. Lisa responded, "I'm single. I need them to take care of me in my old age. Look at my nephew, handsome, right? They look like models or pop stars," the man replied, growing more talkative. "I dream of my nephews feeding me, taking me on amusement park dates, even changing my diapers in the future." "Oh wow, going into a facility? No way. If I'm going to be looked after, it's by handsome men only. Can't wait." I stopped the playback and looked at Lisa, with Kevin and Brian's intense gaze upon her. She turned away. So both my brother and his wife had nasty hobbies, recording things secretly. I vented. Around so much, I heard from relatives and got curious. After all, the alimony from your ex-husband should have run out after 24 years, yet you remain unemployed. So I hired a private investigator to look into your background. I explained what had been recorded. "Lisa, you really are quite a character. No, not funny at all, creepy really. What do you think of us?" As the brothers cringed and hugged themselves, Lisa's eyes narrowed in anger. "Shut up. I doled on you, spent my time and money. What's wrong with expecting something in return?" "Oh, you mean this?" I said as I spread a bank book on the table, making Kevin and Brian's eyes light up. "Oh, is this finally the inheritance?" "Well, sort of," I said suggestively, glancing at Lisa, who looked nervous and sweaty, her eyes shifting around as if looking for a way to escape. I turned to Kevin and Brian. "Remember what I told you before? Michael cut ties with his father before we got married. Remember?" Kevin nodded. "Our grandfather, Dad's father, didn't work seriously. He relied on the family fortune and racked up a huge debt," I continued. "That's right," I added. "Michael's mother worked herself to death paying off those debts, right, Lisa?" Lisa nodded. "So the inheritance Michael received from wealthy relatives, he kept it a secret and deposited it in an account for you. We never heard about this. If there was money, why didn't he tell us?" they asked. "He planned to proceed with the inheritance once you started working seriously. But before that, someone used it without permission," I explained. Kevin and Brian turned to look at Lisa. "No way," they said. "Yes," I continued. "Lisa had been taking Michael's bank book and seal without permission during his lifetime and withdrawing money." Kevin and Brian looked at the bank book, which now showed $300,000 down to $20. "Hey, what did you spend it on?" they demanded. Well, this guy convinced me there was a great investment opportunity. I thought I could double it and pay it back. "I just borrowed it, that's all," Lisa tried to explain as she squirmed under their gaze. Kevin and Brian exploded in anger. "Don't joke. That was supposed to be our money. Just $300,000 and you're making a fuss. Considering the effort I put into raising you, you should be giving it to me for free," Lisa shot back defiantly. This made Kevin and Brian even angrier, their veins popping on their foreheads, looking ready to confront her. But that wasn't all about Lisa. I sighed and spread Kevin and Brian's bank books on the table. You both started working right after high school, so the college funds were left untouched. I was going to give it to you once you started working seriously, but this too was meddled with, seeing only a few pennies left in their accounts. Kevin tore at his hair in frustration, and Brian almost cried. "Damn it, woman, what you're doing is criminal." "Yeah, we'll sue you," they threatened. "Don't be silly, it's called family theft and doesn't count as a crime when done by a relative," Lisa replied, crossing her arms and legs and laughing annoyingly. "I'll pay it back someday, maybe in the next life." "You could be charged for it," I said. At my words, Lisa's eyes widened in shock. Huh. Indeed, relatives living together can't be charged for crimes, which is why Michael kicked you out, I continued. "Planning to report you?" Dumbfounded, Lisa asked in disbelief. "You betrayed your husband's sister." "Well, yes, that's what happened," I confirmed. "Really? Unbelievable. After all I've done for you, how ungrateful," Lisa complained. "Who's ungrateful here?" I yelled back, silencing the room. I glared straight at Lisa, unleashing my fury. "Because of you, our family is a mess. It's beyond repair. What are you going to do about it?" "Overreacting much." Lisa shrugged. "I should have never trusted you and kicked you out sooner," I said. Then Lisa turned to Kevin and Brian, spreading a sinister smile across her face. "I wanted to be a mom, huh? Since I couldn't become one, I thought I'd take your mom away from you too." Kevin and Brian looked terrified. "Are you okay in the head? Just stay away from me for good," Kevin said. "That's a problem." "I came today to borrow money from you," Lisa smirked. "We're family," she said, "so we should help each other in times of need, right?" "Yeah, right, Mom." Suddenly Kevin and Brian, who had been furious moments ago, put on a smile. "Actually, we're broke too. Got fired for talking back at work, for taking a little unscheduled break," they said arrogantly. Brian and Kevin complained bitterly. I felt a headache coming on. "Getting fired is what you deserve, huh?" "Yeah, we got kicked out of our apartment," Kevin casually revealed. "Didn't pay the rent, so we'll stay here for a while." "That's okay, right? And cover our debts once we're debt-free. We'll start working seriously. Can't you lend us about $60,000? "You're working, after all." Faced with their brazen request, I was stunned. I felt a surge of anger. Don't mess around. I have nothing to lend to sons who skipped their father's funeral. I refused strongly. But they kept asking, "Please, Mom, if you keep this up, I'll report you to the police too. Don't ever set foot in this house again." Just then, a police car siren stopped in front of the house. Lisa, trying to escape in a panic, ran into the police officers at the front door and was quietly taken away. Damn, are we going to get arrested too? "Let's just get out of here for now," Kevin and Brian said. They glanced at me, standing firm, gave up on asking for money, and left. Kevin and Brian, realizing that the money Lisa had given them came from Michael and their own savings, seemed to have finally lost all affection for Lisa. "I don't want to end up like them," they said, seemingly deciding to work seriously. However, their laziness didn't disappear overnight. They kept calling me. "Mom, I'm being pressed for payments at the bar. Can you lend me some money?" "I blew it all on horse racing. Can you lend me about $200,000? I got so annoyed that I blocked their contact information. Later, they tried to ask other relatives for money, but were shunned and denounced as heartless for not attending their father's funeral, leading to estrangement. Eventually, pursued by debt collectors for borrowing from shady sources, Kevin and Brian woke up and started working seriously. However, they had racked up so much debt that they were banned from the nightclub and bars where they were regulars. Now shunned even at their favorite drinking spots, they complained, "We've lost all the fun in our lives." Lisa, being a first offender, paid a fine and was released quickly. However, the incident led to her being dumped by her boyfriend. Moreover, after repaying the embezzled money from Michael's, Kevin's, and Brian's accounts, she ended up with a huge debt. Lisa now works from early morning till late at night, looking exhausted. What I kept secret from Lisa and my sons was that Michael had left another item in the safe, a large pink diamond necklace, a prestigious heirloom passed down from his mother. As mentioned in his letter, it was intended as a gift for our 34th wedding anniversary next year. Fearing it might be found and sold by Lisa or my sons, Michael had kept it in the safe. When appraised, it was valued at $360,000. To my astonishment, I wouldn't sell it. It's a treasured gift from Michael. Although I hoped for a warm family, things didn't go as planned with my sons, and I lost my husband too. But Michael's memory is still alive in my heart. Moving forward, I want to live strong and cherish the memories of Michael.
I ran into a former high school classmate, Lucy, who used to dislike me at a friend's engagement party. Lucy, upon meeting my wife Olivia, asked her with a malicious smile, "Why on earth did you marry this guy?" As Olivia looked uncomfortable, she said, "My husband is an elite department head. I'd love to see your shabby workplace." Haha. Lucy only knew me as a poor student who used to juggle multiple part-time jobs during our school days. She couldn't shake off that image and assumed I was being financially supported by Olivia. Feeling uneasy, I decided to leave the party. I picked up my belongings after saying goodbye to Lime, who had invited us. "It's me who should introduce you to my husband's workplace." At that moment, it wasn't me who retaliated against Lucy but my wife. "I am Mark Parker. I'm the CEO of a spa and hotel called Lu. Lusso means luxury in Italian. My intention is to provide a luxurious experience at Lu for those overwhelmed by work, home responsibilities, and parenting. Currently, I'm 40 years old, and my hobby is watching anime. The quality of recent anime is so impressive. Each episode feels like a movie. I have a wife, Olivia, who is 5 years younger than me, and 3 daughters. My eldest daughter just started elementary school this spring. Olivia often tells me, "You need to dress more like a CEO," since I'm not concerned about fashion. But my old habits of frugality persist. I find it hard to wear high-end brands. I'm happy with lunches under $10 and love the $1 coffees from supermarkets. That's why people are always surprised when they first learn I'm a CEO. Olivia is also a business owner. She opened a specialty store for hypoallergenic jewelry inspired by her own metal allergy. Her savvy promotion on social media quickly led to her earning $100,000 a month. I often take her stylish photos for outings. When I share stories like these, people often say, "You must have led a glamorous life, or were your parents wealthy?" But that's not the case. I grew up in a very poor family. Even before I was born, my father was a heavy gambler, and my mother struggled a lot. My mother worked from dawn till dusk every day, taking care of both the nursery drop-offs and pickups, as well as all the household chores. It was almost like living in a single-parent household, yet she never gave up on my father, hoping he would reform. However, one day my father suddenly disappeared, taking with him my mother's savings. Our already poor life became even harder. As a child, I vaguely understood the situation, so I never asked for toys or sweets and was used to being looked down upon at school. When I reached high school, I started working at a bar. I can finally help my mom, I thought. I'm thrilled to be able to support the household finances, I thought, filled with happiness. However, my grades plummeted due to my daily grind at part-time jobs. Days went by where I was constantly overcome by drowsiness during class and hardly ever submitted my homework properly. Yet I prioritized my part-time job. My homeroom teacher, who knew about my family situation, didn't scold me, but the other teachers made me stay after school as a punishment. While I was doing homework alone after school, Lucy, a classmate, walked in. Lucy rarely came to school, but she was still popular because she was a fashion model. She had been appearing in magazines and children's TV shows since elementary school. Everyone in our hometown expected Lucy to become a superstar in the future. It seemed Lucy had also been ordered to stay after school. I secretly celebrated inside. I never imagined I'd get to do homework with a celebrity. We were alone for an hour until Mr. Johnson came back. Lucy's hair was fluffy and smelled nice. I was overwhelmed by her model-like aura. But my joy was crushed within 5 minutes. Lucy pushed her homework onto me. "Please take care of this. Here's a sample," she said, handing me a notebook with only a few pages written. "Make sure your handwriting looks like mine so it doesn't get caught," she instructed, then took out a magazine from her bag and started intently looking at her own pages. She was nothing but a spoiled diva. I was angry with her, but not wanting to cause trouble in our relationship. I also did Lucy's homework. Days like this continued, and about a week later, as I was quickly finishing my homework to start on Lucy's, Mr. Johnson suddenly entered the room. Lucy, who was touching up her makeup on the desk, looked panicked. Mr. Johnson approached me and picked up the homework. I thought something was off. It's the same handwriting as Mark's. I had tried to mimic Lucy's handwriting, but to Mr. Johnson, it seemed identical to mine. I had messed up. Lucy glared at me, clicking her tongue. Being rarely at school and now caught skipping detention homework, Lucy faced a 2-week suspension. I thought, all that for this. But I later heard that a bag check revealed forbidden snacks and cosmetics in her bag. Lucy's suspension quickly turned into bad rumors. In an era without cell phones, rumors spread from mouth to mouth, transforming as they went. TV stations and magazine editors who disapproved of Lucy's school behavior started canceling contracts with her. With no work left, Lucy began attending school every day. Even without modeling jobs, her beauty and glamorous appearance made her popular at school. However, blaming me for the start of her troubles, Lucy began to harass me. She threw my bag into the rainy schoolyard, intentionally dropped my lunch on the floor, and even caused a scene at my part-time job, making me pay for her expenses. "Come on, poor boy, treat me with your meager earnings." Gradually, I couldn't stand the cold stares from my coworkers and quit. Then I started doing light work from home. The pay was shockingly low. This won't help with living expenses at all. I felt downcast, but my mother encouraged me, saying, "People who are mean to others will eventually face karma. A fun life awaits after you graduate from high school." I finally graduated from high school and became a college student. Just the fact that Lucy wasn't there made me happy. But I found it hard to trust those around me, remaining isolated during lunch breaks. With my mother also busy every day, leaving no time to go out together, I wondered how to spend my time. When I stumbled upon an advertisement for a job vacancy at a resort hotel, I had never traveled except for school events. Out of curiosity, I applied and to my surprise, received a call immediately saying, "We look forward to having you start next week." The part-time work at the resort hotel changed my life. I started off with behind-the-scenes tasks like cleaning guest rooms, then moved on to front desk staff and pool lifeguard, experiencing various jobs while moving between resort locations. There were so many family smiles, an extraordinary atmosphere, and a sense that just being there excited me. Since it was a short-term job, the absence of stress from interpersonal relationships was a plus. I saved my earnings and presented my mother with her first trip. During the trip at a famous spa and hotel, she smiled happily the entire time. At that moment, I vowed, from now on, I will work hard to afford my mother a life of luxury. From my second year of college, I began studying business management in earnest while working at the resort hotel. I traveled to hotels and resorts nationwide for research. Upon graduating, I started my own business with investment from backers. I opened the hotel in Sposo and implemented various initiatives, such as offering single mothers and their children a 50% discount and giving students who work for 3 hours a day pay plus a spa pass. As soon as social media emerged, I focused on advertising there, making sure not to fall behind the times. Thanks to that, 15 years later, the company has grown to an annual revenue of $350 million. This is my life. Today is my daughter's school observation day. She's a first grader at the well-known international school nearby. I couldn't attend the entrance ceremony due to work, so I was determined to go today no matter what. Olivia, wearing her new dress, looked stunning. Arriving at school, I saw parents dressed in brand-name clothes entering the classroom. I should have bought new clothes too, I regretted as I went to the bathroom. I'm going to the bathroom before heading to the classroom. It's class 13. I'll go ahead and chat with the other moms. After using the bathroom, I headed to classroom 13. I could see my daughter from the hallway. Her posture was straight, and her slightly nervous expression was adorable. As I moved to stand next to Olivia, I saw Lucy among the parents. No way, I thought. I never imagined I'd have anything to do with Lucy again. Yet there she was, chatting amiably with Olivia. Would she notice me if I went now? I decided to stand in a corner out of Lucy's sight. The class observation ended without me ever standing by my wife's side. I was moved by my daughter's presentation, yet anxious about being noticed by Lucy. I met up with my wife at the school gate. I wanted us to sit together. Sorry, it was about to start when I got back from the bathroom, and I didn't want to walk in front of everyone. Well, I have to go pick up the little one from daycare. I had to return to work, so Olivia and I parted ways. As I was leaving the school to call a taxi, I heard Lucy's voice. Isn't that Mark? Were you hiding from me since the observation started? It seemed I had been noticed. Lucy, arms crossed and looking angry, glared at me just like before, unchanged from our high school days. Long time no see. You're still being supported by your wife, aren't you? Lucy spoke to me even though I was in a hurry for a meeting. When the taxi arrived, I hurriedly got in. On the way to the office, unpleasant memories from high school flooded my mind. One night during the week, when I got home, there was an invitation to my high school friend Liam's engagement party on the desk. Liam and I didn't talk much in class, but we worked at the same part-time job and often went home together. To my surprise, the venue was Lusso. If I received an invitation, it likely means all our high school classmates were invited. I definitely didn't want to go. I decided to send a gift to Liam's home instead. As I was about to mark will not attend on the invitation, Olivia suggested, let's go together. Olivia hadn't met me until after I started my business, so she didn't know what I was like in high school. I want to meet Mark's friends. Her eyes sparkled so much that I couldn't say no. On the day of the engagement party, I told the staff at Lusso not to mention that I'm the CEO, as I didn't want to be probed by my classmates. Olivia picked out a fancy suit for me to wear. The party was on a Sunday, and since our daughters were also free, we attended as a family. When we arrived, many of my classmates were already there. It felt odd to see the familiar staff and made me a bit nervous. Mark, it's been so long. Thanks for coming. Congratulations on your wedding. It's great to see you. Liam, whom I hadn't seen since high school graduation, was as refreshing as ever, and his wife seemed kind. While we were eating, women gathered around Olivia. Are you Olivia? I always see your SNS, they said, buzzing about her metal allergy-friendly jewelry shop. My wife is popular everywhere, shining brightly. Then Lucy joined them. Why did you marry this guy? Her cheeks were red, perhaps from drinking. Lucy flatly sat next to me. He's always been poor and unattractive and unfashionable. I can't believe he's married. Is that so? I don't know much about the past, Olivia replied with a troubled look. Lucy asked the surrounding classmates. He was super unfashionable, right? There must have been someone better, right? You make so much from your jewelry. Could you please stop bothering my wife? Why? Lucy bragged about her high-end accessories and the wallet her husband gave her. While she was engrossed in the conversation, she turned to me and said, my husband is an elite department head. I'd love to see your lowly workplace. Haha. I was furious that Lucy could say such awful things in front of our daughters. Thinking of leaving, I grabbed my things to say goodbye to Liam. But then, my husband's workplace. Let me introduce you, Olivia said loudly. Everyone in the venue turned to look at us. We headed to the top floor of the hotel in the elevator. The office is located on the upper floors where I and the full-time employees work. The elevator ride with Lucy, Liam, his wife, and a few classmates felt suffocating. My wife's back, standing in front of me, seemed larger than usual. We arrived at the CEO's office. Everyone was confused, asking, what's going on? My secretary, who rushed over, unlocked the door. As we entered the spacious office, exclamations of wow were heard. Mark is the CEO of Lusso, Olivia announced. She did so with such pride, as if she herself were the CEO. The collective gasp of wow from everyone was directed at me. I felt the same wow towards Olivia. Olivia, who is usually calm and never gets angry, had a rare stern look on her face. No one who insults my husband will be forgiven, even if they are a mom friend, Olivia said. I wasn't really insulting him, Lucy said, sweating and looking flustered. All the funding for my jewelry brand, our living expenses, and our daughter's tuition fees have been paid by my husband, Olivia said, clutching my hand and pressing close to me. Her hand was trembling. Was she mustering all her courage to protect me? That's why, even though everyone says I'm amazing, the truly amazing person is my wife. The CEO's office fell silent. Even the main couple, Liam and his wife, froze. I felt sorry, but at the same time, I also felt a sense of satisfaction. What's that? Showing off, Olivia? You're getting unusually passionate, Lucy continued, trying to deflect. Olivia puffed her cheeks and pulled my hand, saying, let's just leave it be. Just when the party atmosphere turned awkward, the host guided everyone to the pool area. This is my favorite space. Lusso's pool is filled with amenities enjoyable even for babies. Actually, it was my mother's idea. When I was a baby, we spent a lot of time together, but there weren't many places to play since I couldn't run or swim yet. It's the period when you can be closest to your child, yet there's not much to experience. Hearing her say this made me feel lonely, so I made sure we had plenty of kids' pools. The children of my classmates, including my daughters, changed into their swimsuits and played to their heart's content. Feeling responsible for ruining the party atmosphere, I treated everyone to ice cream. Looks like CEO Parker's secret is out, the shop staff said, chuckling as they approached me. More like my wife let it slip. Ah, your wife's love for CEO Parker is incredible. It's already the talk among the staff. Though I dislike gossip, the story of Olivia defending me spreading around wasn't unwelcome. Seeing Lucy, she was eating the ice cream I treated, chatting with classmates. That sight reignited my anger. Isn't Olivia super rude? We went to the same school, but she's always had a bad way of speaking. That's the worst, complaining about a mom friend she's usually close with. Is this also my fault? But I wanted to say something back. As I approached, thinking this, a group of running boys crashed into Lucy, causing the ice cream she was holding to fall on her dress. Ah, my favorite dress. Lucy tried to wipe off the ice cream stain, pulling a handkerchief from her bag. Simultaneously, her wallet flew out of her bag and into the pool. Lucy reached out for her wallet in a frenzy. Splash! Lucy fell into the pool, causing water to splash everywhere. Staff members and a few classmates rushed to the pool. All the classmates quietly watched the scene. With her back to everyone, Lucy exited the pool and was led by the staff to the fitting room. To turn around the tense atmosphere, the host started a bingo competition. As soon as the bingo started, everyone got engrossed as if nothing had happened, eagerly following the numbers. After the bingo, Olivia and I went to Liam and his wife's table. I can't believe Mark is the CEO of this hotel. I'm glad you chose Lusso for the party venue. Sorry for the awkward atmosphere, though. It's my fault for inviting Lucy. Don't worry about it. We had a great time reminiscing about our days working part-time jobs. Liam saying he missed me after I left the job was really nice to hear. I wish I had kept in touch better. Maybe we could have been closer. Seeing Liam's wife in her dress, I was reminded of my own wedding with Olivia. Originally, Olivia worked as a hall staff in Lusso's restaurant. One day, while I was cleaning the restaurant, Olivia offered me her own spray cleaner, saying, "This spray works better at cleaning off dirt." Unaware that I was the CEO, she simply wanted to help. Don't you use the hotel's cleaner? The hotel's cleaner works fine, but don't you want things to be extra shiny? She said, smiling broadly as she explained about the spray. It was amusing and interesting that a part-time worker would bring her own cleaning spray. I could feel her love for Lusso. Without revealing that I was the CEO, I enjoyed chatting with Olivia a few times a week while we cleaned together. I even introduced Olivia's recommended spray into the hotel's cleaning routine. One evening after work, I invited Olivia to a suite room in the hotel. Olivia was surprised by the luxurious meal, bouquet, and gift. I took out a ring and proposed to her, confessing my feelings at the same time. That was when I first revealed that I was the CEO. I have been so rude to CEO Parker all this time. I love you for being honest and hardworking, Olivia said. After thinking it over, Olivia said, I'd love to, and placed the ring on her finger. As I was lost in these fine memories, Lucy returned to the venue. She had changed into a dress sold at the hotel shop. Gathering everyone's attention, she walked straight towards me. Olivia is really the worst, so tactless and selfish. I'll tell the mom friends about this next week. My wife did nothing wrong. The one lacking manners is you. Lucy's downfall was merely the result of her own actions coming back to her. The room dimmed for the cake-cutting ceremony. Focusing on Liam and his wife, we gathered around the cake, capturing the moment of cutting in photos. Our daughters were delighted as the sliced cake was served. Then the final event, opening presents. Liam and his wife began opening the presents they received from everyone. They reacted happily to various gifts like bath bombs, dishes, and aromas. Then they opened a present chosen by Olivia and me. It was a set of slightly upscale seasonings. Wow, I'm so happy. I love cooking and will use this every day. That's great. You were always good at cooking, even when we were working at the pub. Liam, Lucy muttered under her breath. Is that all from the CEO? She's relentlessly unpleasant. Actually, we have one more gift, I announced, borrowing a microphone to stand in front of everyone. A stay in Lusso suite room. Why don't you stay tonight? Really? Are you serious? That's awesome. It's a wedding gift. Everyone in the venue clapped. Way to go, CEO Parker. Lusso is the best. I want to have my engagement party at Lusso too. Voices chimed in. I could tell even without looking that I probably had a triumphant look on my face. I just wanted to see Lucy's frustrated face. I asked the staff to prepare a suite room. Sorry to take up your time. Let's open Lucy's gift next. Mine can wait. Don't you all want to see it? I asked the crowd, and they responded with a yes. I wondered what luxurious item Lucy, who had called my gift lame, had chosen. Liam and his wife opened it in front of everyone. It was a set of matching pajamas. Thank you, we'll use them. A highly popular limited edition pajama set from a high-end brand. Following the seasonings, this would have surely elicited applause, but it couldn't compare to a stay in the hotel's suite room. Typical Lucy, always with good taste, I said, deliberately praising her. I didn't want to stoop to her level by criticizing her. Lucy was left speechless. With the presents opened, the party came to a close. Are you sure we can stay? Thank you so much. Of course, if anyone should be thankful, it's me. The bond with my wife deepened. Though I had wanted to keep my presidency a secret, I realized it could actually bring happiness to others as a strength. And maybe, just maybe, I had managed to outdo Lucy a bit. We were taking the commemorative photo in front of the hotel on our way back. Then, outside the entrance, there was a man waving at us, heading in our direction. He was wearing sweatpants and sandals with hair that looked like he had just woken up. Who does he belong to? Everyone murmured, looking around. Lucy, stop it, she protested as the man approached. What's this? You said your clothes were wet, so I rushed to bring you a change. Oh, it's already over. Cut this, Lucy's husband, the supposed elite department head. His fashion was the complete opposite of high-brand lover Lucy, decidedly more down-to-earth, practically loungewear, or rather, it looked more like something one would wear around the house. Seeing Liam, Lucy's husband said, Congratulations on your wedding. My wife has been in your care. I handed him my business card. You're the hotel CEO. Well, that's amazing. Sorry, I don't have my card on me, he apologized. You're a department head, right? Actually, my company went bankrupt, and I'm currently a freelancer. This unexpected revelation made it feel as if time had stopped for the classmates gathered for the photo. Lucy's face turned red, and she remained silent. Mark, our daughters are in the same class, right? Unfortunately, we might have to transfer schools, he shared, hinting at their struggle to find work and pay rent. Lucy's family is barely making ends meet with help from her parents, and they feel guilty enough to consider moving to a smaller apartment. However, the clothes Lucy wears always look expensive. The gifts she gives must cost tens of thousands of dollars each. That's unfortunate. Lucy always dresses so stylishly. Your clothes look expensive. She hunts for brand items on flea market apps. Shut up, just stop. Lucy, tears streaming, grasped her husband's arm. Even I could tell that was a bombshell statement. I just meant she's good at shopping. The worst? Don't come home tonight. A sudden argument broke out between the couple. I wished they would stop, especially in front of the newlyweds. Liam met his wife, and Lucy, in anger, left in the car her husband had arrived in. Left behind, her husband stood alone, looking lost. Would you like to have coffee? I offered to speak with Lucy's husband. After graduating from high school, Lucy wanted to pursue modeling again and joined a companion agency. However, it was difficult to get into a major agency, so she gave up on modeling and became a receptionist in an office building. That's when she met her current husband at a mixer. Her husband appears to be quite timid and fell for Lucy's confident demeanor. However, he realized after they got married that what he thought was confidence was actually just selfishness. Their child's difficulty integrating with mom friends led to multiple school transfers. Despite financial struggles, Lucy couldn't let go of her pride and relied on her parents for financial support. Since the company went bankrupt, instead of cutting back, she's been spending even more recklessly. Apparently, she even started dipping into the children's birthday money savings. Hearing such a tragic story made me feel sorry for her husband. Have you considered divorce? I don't want to be separated from my daughters, so I'm desperately job hunting. A part-time job salary is insufficient for family support. To lead a normal life, a decent income is necessary. You were a manager before, right? In what field? A menu design company for restaurants. An idea struck me. Would you like to work at Lusso as a full-time employee? Really? Can I? I had been thinking about expanding Lusso with a cafe. Most cafes and restaurants offer limited kids menus. A wider variety of balanced meals would surely make both moms and kids happy. However, due to staffing shortages, I had postponed this plan. I'd like your help with the cafe expansion. Could you lend us your knowledge and experience? Lucy's husband immediately responded with a yes. I wanted to help him not just as Lucy's husband but as a man and a father. Ironically, this felt like the best revenge against Lucy. Months later, Lucy's husband thrived at the company, leading the cafe project from operations to menu design. Since the engagement party, Lucy stopped talking to Olivia, though their children remained friends. Repairing adult relationships is hard. They moved from a high-rise apartment to a 50-year-old apartment building. The international school requires considerable expenses, so her husband's salary is primarily spent on their child's needs. For me, not much has changed. If there's anything different since the engagement party, it's that my love for Olivia has deepened. Ever since our child was born, she mentioned how dealing with mom friends can be tough because you have to conform. Yet she stood up for me in front of those mom friends. Being able to marry Olivia and having our daughter are the greatest joys of my life. And being able to lead such a wonderful life is also all thanks to my mother. After a long while, I took a week off and went back to my family's home with my family. The concept of home used to be the norm for me, and hotels felt special. But at some point, that feeling reversed. Next time, I'll create a hotel that feels like a home away from home. Feel free to take my wallet after 25 years of employment. I was living a poor life with monthly take-home pay of only $1,500. I met an old lady one day. The old lady claimed to be penniless. Unable to ignore someone in a worse situation than myself, I decided to give her all my savings. Then, a few days later, I unexpectedly reunited with her in a way I never imagined. As of today, you're fired from this factory, the manager said. Afterwards, my life took a complete 180-degree turn. My name is Kevin. I am a self-admittedly dull man who currently works on a factory line. I am turning 40 this year. Due to my low salary of $1,500 a month at this age, I live a modest life in a small apartment. No wife, no kids, leading a single life. Although I have no family, there is one being I can call family. it's Rotisserie. I'm home, meow. I pick up Rotisserie, the one who always greets me when I come home. It's a ginger cat named Rotisserie. I found this kitten abandoned and took it home not long ago. The name Rotisserie came about because I picked up this cat on my way back from buying chicken at a supermarket. I debated between Rotisserie and Burrito, but now I'm glad I chose this name. Though still a kitten, Rotisserie is in its mischievous phase, causing me quite a bit of trouble. So today, once again, Rotisserie has escaped from the apartment. Taking my eyes off him for just a moment, he seemed to have dashed out through the window. In a panic, I rushed out of the apartment and ran in the direction Rotisserie had escaped. With my usual lack of exercise, I couldn't keep up with the kitten's sprint and was panting heavily as I shouted, "Rotisserie, where are you?" I received odd looks from passers-by, wondering if I should have stuck with another name. As I searched a park a little beyond my apartment, something caught my eye. Thinking there was a chance, I peered into the park. There, on a bench in the park, was the old lady with Rotisserie being petted by her. "Rotisserie, so you were here," I blurted out loud, and the old lady, seeing me, hurried to leave. Meow. However, it seems Rotisserie had taken a liking to this old lady. Following her slowly, Rotisserie rubbed its body against the old lady's leg. As she stopped, the old lady looked troubled. Seeing Rotisserie, who usually shies away from people, this attachment was impressive. While admiring this, I picked up Rotisserie. "Sorry about my cat." "Oh no, I'm the one who should apologize." I petted him without knowing he was someone's cat. "I'm sorry," the old lady spoke with a gentle voice, exuding a certain grace. Yet, despite the cold, her clothes were tattered. In the midst of winter in January, she wore a clearly worn-out apron and sandals suitable only for a quick errand. Without a coat, she looked as if she had left home in a hurry. Clearly, she seemed cold. Coincidentally, I too had rushed out of my house in a hurry chasing after Rotisserie and had almost nothing but what I had on. Rather than here, why don't you come to my place? My name is Dorothy Miller. I learned that Dorothy had been living with her son and his wife, but had impulsively left home after a minor argument. She had left her phone at home, and although she thought she had her wallet with her, it seemed she had lost it at some point. I guess this is what they mean by when it rains, it pours. After leaving, she couldn't bring herself to go back home and wandered aimlessly until she found that park and decided to rest on a bench. That's when Rotisserie came by her side, followed by me. Your home is near Solar Station. That's 6 stations away from here, isn't it? I was genuinely impressed by the distance she had walked. I must be bothering you, Kevin. I shouldn't be stubborn and should just go home now, Dorothy said, standing up. But it was nearly time for the last train. Since it's a 20-minute walk from this apartment to the station, it would be impossible for her to get home today. I considered taking a taxi, but taxis are only available at the station square. To make matters worse, I dropped my phone yesterday while trying to take a photo of Rotisserie, and now the screen is completely shattered. I can't make calls, send emails, or use messaging apps anymore. Since nobody contacts me anyway, I had planned to get it repaired after work tomorrow, so my phone is currently out of service. Public phones in the area have been removed over time, so I decided to make her an offer. "Dorothy, would you like to stay here tonight?" "Oh no, I couldn't possibly impose on you to that extent. But Dorothy, you don't have any cash on you right now, right?" Embarrassingly, I don't have much on me either. I also mentioned my broken phone and that I couldn't do anything until tomorrow. It's cold this season, and it would be terrible if something happened to you on your way home. Besides, Rotisserie seems to have taken a real liking to you. Staying on her lap even after we got inside, it was going to be tough to get him to move. Well, it seems Rotisserie is also saying I should stay, so maybe I will take you upon your offer just for tonight. Yes, please do. Fortunately, I had an extra bed in a spare room of my home, so I gave it to Dorothy. I let her rest there. I do have fights with my son like this sometimes, but this time it turned into quite a heated argument when I was cooking. So I just left with my apron on, which is embarrassing at my age. Dorothy chuckled. It's nice to have a family you can argue with. I'm envious. Kevin, how about your parents? Oh, my parents have both passed away. Oh my, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. No, please don't apologize. Saying that made Dorothy look somewhat relieved. Then I decided to share a bit about my past. My parents passed away just before I graduated from middle school, and as their only son, I inherited everything, including their debts. The debt was from a shady loan company, and the interest was mercilessly high. The company's representative said, "If you can pay back the $30,000 your father owed, we'll cut you some slack on the interest." So, I decided to start working right after middle school. At the time, with no relatives to rely on, that was the only option I thought I had. I found a job at this factory, which hired middle school graduates, and have been here ever since. Now, a 25-year veteran. Kevin, after 25 years on the same factory line, you could be a supervisor or something, couldn't you? Are you a supervisor? No way. I'm still a regular employee because I only finished middle school and have no further education. What? That's ridiculous. Really? The factory manager, Jake, and the current supervisor, Ryan, always say, "You'll never get promoted because you only finished middle school. You'll be a regular employee forever with this salary." Dorothy's eyes widened. By the way, how much is your salary? It's been about $1,500 take home since I joined. I've been able to keep that amount since I finished paying off my parents' debt. While paying off the debt, I allocated $200 each month to repayments. Despite barely making ends meet with rent and food expenses, I've managed to get by given my circumstances. Marriage was out of the question. Before I knew it, I was 40 with only Rotisserie, the rescued cat, as my family. Dorothy listened to my story, nodding and occasionally expressing surprise, proving to be a good listener. I wondered if this is what it would have been like if my mother were still here. I'm sorry for talking about such things. It must not have been very interesting for you to listen to. No, I asked you to tell me. It's incredible that you've been working so diligently and even paid off your parents' debts. That's nothing. I think the kind person was the man from the loan company. I just did what I had to do. However, being praised for the first time made me feel unexpectedly bashful. After that, Dorothy and I went to bed, and since I had work the next day, we left the house together. Rotisserie didn't want to leave Dorothy until the very end, and it was a struggle to separate them. Rotisserie will be in a bad mood all day today. Then, Dorothy and I made our way to the local station. Before work, I stopped by a drugstore. I withdrew all the balance from the ATM. There was only about $20 left, but it should cover the train fare. Dorothy, you need some cash. To get home, please take my wallet with you. Surprised by Dorothy's reaction, I managed to smile. It's not much, but I think it should be enough to get you home. No, absolutely not. You can't just hand over your wallet to someone you hardly know. But you don't have any pockets in the clothes you're wearing now, Dorothy. And it's better to have a wallet than to carry cash in hand. It would be terrible if you were robbed while holding the money. But what about your living expenses? I've already accounted for that. My payday is coming up soon, so it'll be fine. After some back and forth, Dorothy finally agreed and accepted my wallet. And until the very end, she kept saying thank you before disappearing into the station. When I returned home from work, Reiser was sitting sadly on the bed Dorothy had used. But since Dorothy has her own home to return to, I couldn't keep her here. Given that Reiser had grown so attached to her, I had no hesitation in giving her my entire wallet. Well, payday is the day after tomorrow, and I guess I can survive without eating for a couple of days. A few days after meeting Dorothy, I went back to my routine of work and home, cherishing my time with Riser. The 2 days until payday were tough, but I managed with just water. And after that, my salary came in, so I could eat properly and get my phone repaired. I was living an unremarkable life, and this is exactly what my life was like when. Kevin, I need to talk to you. One day, out of the blue, Jake called me over, which took me by surprise. Jake had joined this factory a few years ago, though he's a bit younger than me at 38. He looks down on someone like me, an older but regular employee, because of his position as a factory manager. Especially after knowing my background, he would only ever insult me with remarks like dropout, older but still a regular employee, and guy with a $1,500 salary. I don't know if it was his way of blowing off steam, but he kept up his petty harassment, and it was taking its toll on me. But since he's the factory manager, I couldn't afford to resist and risk losing my job, so I just let it slide. Naturally, when Jake said he needed to talk, it made me wonder what it could possibly be about. But it also crossed my mind that he could actually have a serious conversation with me. The place I was called to was the factory's reception room. I rarely enter there, so my heart was pounding unnecessarily. Could it be? Am I about to be fired? I couldn't think of anything I had done wrong, but sudden layoffs are always a possibility. If that happened, would I be able to find another job right away? And what about Riser's food as he grows? With these thoughts, I opened the door to the reception room where Jake, an elegant older woman, and a man in a suit were seated across from each other. The man seemed to be about my age. I didn't recognize him. As I tentatively said, "Excuse me," the woman looked up. Seeing her face, I was stunned. It was Dorothy. "Why does this dropout know your name?" "I had a little encounter with him the other day." "It's none of your business." When Dorothy said that coldly, Jake awkwardly looked away. "Kevin, I really appreciated your help the other day. Thank you so much." "No, I'm Dorothy now." In a sophisticated suit, Dorothy looked entirely different from the apron-clad figure I had met before, embodying the image of a female president. The man about my age, sitting next to Dorothy, stood up and thanked me. "Kevin, thank you for taking care of my mother the other day. Thanks to you, she safely returned home, and our family is relieved." "No, please. You don't have to thank someone like me." Being thanked so politely by someone who clearly held the higher status made me extremely nervous. But to give away your wallet like that was all I had at the time. Even so, it's not something many people would do, giving away their entire wallet to a stranger. You think so too, right? It's not something easily done. Dorothy and the man were saying this to me, but I was just filled with embarrassment. "Dorothy, why are you here? And who is this man?" As I finally managed to say that, Jake exclaimed, "What? You don't know who these people are?" "I know who Dorothy is, but I don't know the man," I honestly replied. "That's why I hate dealing with dropouts like you. I'm sorry, everyone, for his ignorance. He's a dropout and doesn't know much about the world." Jake said, "These people are the president and chairman of our parent company. You're living in shame, not knowing even that," Jake scolded me. I was shocked by Jake's words. "Wait, Dorothy is the president?" "No, I used to be the president. But now I'm the chairman," Dorothy said. "This son of mine is the president." The man was Dorothy's son and the president of the parent company. I had never met or even known the names of such high-ranking individuals from the parent company. Given our lack of connection, I'm sorry. I really didn't know. I wondered if I had said or done anything disrespectful to Dorothy that day. Was it even rude in the first place to have her stay at my humble home? The thought made my face color drain. "There's a reason we asked you to come here today," Dorothy said. She looked at me with a serious expression. "You are being terminated from this factory as of today." "Oh no. I knew it would. Will the determination process take long?" Dorothy asked. "No. If it's an order from you, I can process it immediately, right now. Effective today. All right, that's fine then. Thank you. Jake quickly stood up and left the reception room. As he left, he muttered, "Finally rid that dropout." But his words didn't register with me. The shock of being fired was greater than anything else. Within an hour, Jake had truly terminated me from the factory. Effective today. Here's your termination notice. Don't ever come back to our factory. That's what Jake said as he handed me the termination notice. Kevin, let's go. Please come with me. Dorothy called out to me, still in a daze, and left with Mr. Miller. I hurriedly followed them. Get in. And I got into the black car that Dorothy and the others had gotten into. Where are we going? We're going to our company. Your company is the parent company of this factory. The president, her son, gave a reassuring smile. Minutes later, I found myself in a very comfortable car on my way to the parent company for the first time. And the place they took me to was a presidential office on the top floor. Still in my work clothes, I was led there and told to sit on a plush sofa, which I did without objection. The women I saw before entering the president's office, probably secretaries, seemed to give me a cold look as if wondering, why is someone like him here? Feeling out of place and fidgety, Dorothy spoke up. The day you handed over your wallet, I thought to myself, what an incredible person he must be. Incredible. I'm not. The truth is, people generally only think about themselves. When I was running the company, I saw so many people like that. I just assumed everyone was the same. But Kevin, you were different. You helped a complete stranger, offered me a place to stay, and in the end, even gave me your wallet containing all your savings. Thinking about it now, maybe what I did was a bit odd. But then again, you were really in trouble at that time. I really wanted to thank you. But I hope you don't mind, but I looked inside the wallet you gave me. Your driver's license was in there, so I ended up finding out about you. I was surprised to learn you worked at one of our subsidiary factories. That was a surprise for me too. From what you told me before, it sounded like your work environment wasn't the best. But after seeing Jake's attitude today, I got a pretty good idea of how you were being treated at the factory. Someone as sincere as you shouldn't have to endure that. You need to know your own worth. Dorothy said that with a sincere look, and it warmed my heart. I had always thought I was a person of no value, so it was the first time someone spoke so passionately about me. I couldn't help but deeply admire Dorothy as a person. Kevin, I'm going to hire you as my personal assistant at our company. You'll be paid a salary befitting the position, so don't worry. I couldn't help but let out an incredulous sound again. I believe in you. You have the kind of reliability that is invaluable in a person. You'll learn things you couldn't learn at the factory under my guidance. Refusing Dorothy's offer seemed rude after everything she said, and I felt that I would indeed learn a lot from this new opportunity. A few days later, I found myself back at the factory where I used to work. Seeing me, Jake approached with a smug, malicious grin. What? What is a dropout like you wearing a suit here? Is this some kind of cosplay? Sorry, but we're not hiring mid-career guests today. I was at the factory, dressed in a suit. Yes, I'm here on Miss Miller's behalf. This is a document from her. What? On Miss Miller's behalf? Yes, I've been working as her secretary since the other day. What? After learning that I was working as her secretary, Jake barged into our company, proclaiming, if a dropout like him can do it, I can do it even better. Hire me as an apprentice secretary. He was repeatedly escorted out by security as this behavior persisted. Dorothy eventually appeared and dismissed him, stating, we don't need someone like you who looks down on my benefactor. Following that, Jake was demoted, relegated to just another worker on a factory line. It was Mr. Miller and Miss Miller who decided that Jake was not suitable for the position of factory manager. Since then, I've been working hard every day as Miss Miller's apprentice secretary. My salary increased significantly, and I was able to move to a better place. I even managed to get a full set of suits, marking a complete turnaround in my life. Though every day was challenging with so much to learn, it was incredibly fulfilling. Returning home to rotisserie, my hairy companion, and being able to take him for grooming made my days even better. One day, Miss Miller introduced me to a woman. She's the daughter of a friend of mine around your age. She's a single mother raising her son, and she's a great person. I declined indirectly, saying, "At this age, now of all times," but she insisted. "Just meet her." Apparently, Miss Miller enjoyed playing matchmaker. The woman turned out to be Olivia, a classmate from my middle school. When I heard the name, I wondered if it could be Kevin. It's been so long, Olivia. Our reunion as former classmates led to a lively conversation. Olivia had married at 21, had a son at 22, and soon after discovered her husband's infidelity and divorce. She had been working hard ever since, juggling work and raising her son. Time had flown by, and then Olivia showed me a photo of a white cat she's keeping at home now. My cat's name is Snowball. I was torn between Cheese and Snowball, but I chose Snowball because of her beautiful white color, like yogurt, she said. So, I showed her a photo of Rotisserie. I actually have a cat too, named Rotisserie. I debated between Rotisserie and Burrito for his name. Hearing that, Olivia laughed. "Kevin, your naming sense is quite something too." As Rotisserie and Snowball started spending time together, Olivia and I naturally grew closer. I also became good friends with Olivia's son, Tyler, and the three of us often went out for meals together. "Mom, I'm about to become an adult. It's time for you to start living your own life," Tyler said to Olivia after one of our meals together. Then, Tyler turned to me. "Kevin, my mom has worked tirelessly every day to raise me. I want her to live her own life from now on. She seems so happy when she's with you. If it's not too much to ask, please be with her," Tyler requested. Olivia was moved to tears. "I ask the same of you, please," I replied. Since then, the three of us, along with Rotisserie and Snowball, have been living happily in a cozy house. Occasionally, Miss Miller and Mr. Miller would visit, and each time, our home would be filled with laughter and joy. I could never have imagined that simply helping someone would lead to such appreciation and change in my life so drastically. I feel incredibly fortunate to have met people who value me so much. Miss Miller always says, "It's a bit late, but this is your reward for living an honest life. And you should have confidence in yourself because you are truly worth it," she would add. While it's still hard for me to have confidence in myself, I am truly grateful to have people who value me that much. With the intent of repaying Miss Miller and the others for their kindness, I am determined to continue doing my best.
Have you ever come across people who live like parasites? My name is Violet, and I have met 3 such people. My in-laws are your classic definition of leeches. They never worked hard and always wanted more than they could afford. My husband Nate was the only successful member and quickly became the cash cow for my in-laws. When I was dating Nate, I had no idea how bad things were. He did warn me, but I refused to believe him. After getting married, I saw just how bad his parents, Ben and Donna, were. He also had a brother, Shane, who is the golden child and never worked a day in his life. He's not a teenager, though. He's a grown adult in his 20s. Because of my in-laws, Nate and I had to sacrifice a lot. Nate has a good job while I was a stay-at-home wife. It was our joint decision since Nate worked a stressful job and needed someone to take care of him. We were okay with this arrangement. However, money was always tight because his family took away half of his salary. He paid their rent and utilities along with ours. They were never happy with it. They said, "Nate, You need to put in more money towards us. It's not fair you spend so much on your wife. She can get a job if she wants money. We are a 3-person family. We deserve more money. What you are giving is not enough. Do you want to see us in poor condition? He just wants to keep his useless housewife happy. I don't know why he pays for her. All she does is lounge around the house and look at her phone. I always told you not to spend on the wedding so much, yet you gave in to everything Violet said. Now you have no money for us. That's not what a good son would do. The emotional blackmail never stopped. Surprisingly, the in-laws never made Shane work. He stayed with them, and Nate was stuck paying for his expenses as well. I never complained because I knew family is important. However, I had no idea that I would somehow become a victim of my in-laws. It all started when Donna and Ben got sick, one after another. The hospital bills racked up, and the entire situation was pretty stressful for us all. One day, Nate returned home from the office looking very upset. I could tell something was bothering him. I started to feel concerned about him and told him to talk to me. Nate said, "Violet, my parents are very sick. They're having a hard time managing on their own. I really don't know what to do. You know Shane will be of no help." "Oh my God, how bad is it?" "I know they have been to the hospital, but I thought they were doing okay." "They are much better now, but they still need some help around the house. Besides, their medical bills are still pending. I don't know how I will clear those bills and pay the rent for 2 houses at the same time." "I'm so sorry, Nate. I can see it stressing you out. Please tell me if I can help in any way. I'm willing to help for your sake." "I'm glad you asked, Violet. I was wondering if you would be willing to go live with them. It'll be for a short while. Our lease will end next month anyway. If we live with my parents, I can save rent on 1 house. That way, they'll get some help, and I'll be able to clear their medical bills too. There's a lot to think about, Nate, but if that's what makes you happy, we can go live with them. I think I should warn you, if they treat me unfairly, I will leave. I will make sure they won't do that. You're already sacrificing a lot for them. This time, if they mess up, I won't take it lightly. Consider this the last favor you do for me." We set some ground rules, and then Nate proceeded to inform his parents about the arrangement. From what I could make out, they were pretty happy with everything. Somehow, instead of reassuring me, it kind of set off alarm bells in my head. I was praying to God that I don't end up regretting my decision. I would later realize that my worst fears would come to light. With everything set, Nate and I packed up and moved in with my in-laws. They had a spare guest room that we used as our bedroom. Shane made some noise about needing the room for his personal reasons, but Nate shut that down real quick. His parents were surprisingly warm and welcoming towards us. I suspect it was because they knew they had to be in Nate's good books. However, things were about to take a drastic turn. As soon as Nate would leave for the office, my in-laws would pounce on me with a long list of chores. I moved in with them because I thought I would be helping them out. Instead, I was somehow stuck doing absolutely everything on my own. I did their laundry, cleaning, cooking, dishes, mowing the lawn, fixing things, driving them to places, etc. Ben and Donna just had problems with diabetes and recovered pretty fast. However, they acted like they were paralyzed. I was okay with doing the work for Donna and Ben. They were getting old, and I didn't have the heart to make sick people work. However, everyone expected me to do Shane's work as well. Shane did nothing all day. He got up late, demanded I make his favorite breakfast, stayed in his room, littered all over, and only came down for meals. Even during meals, he sat at the table and complained. He never did it around dinner because he knew Nate would crack down on him. When Nate wasn't around, Shane always said, "Why'd you cook this crap every day? You know I don't eat this. Who the hell likes veggies anyway?" It's a balanced meal, Shane. There is meat in it as well. You can ignore the veggies if you want. I don't like this dish at all. Go make me something else. I feel like having lasagna today. Oh, for dinner, make me a steak. Do you really expect me to stop making you lasagna right now? It will take hours. I just finished cooking 2 meals today and still have to prepare for dinner. Why don't you make yourself something? How dare you talk to me like that? I don't cook. I'm a man. Women should do the cooking. My brother is looking after you for a reason. It's your job to feed and work for his family. No, I'm only responsible for taking care of Nate. All this is extra. Besides, Ben and Donna are sick. You are just as fit as a fiddle, so you need to help out more. Hearing this, Shane called out to his parents in classic man-child fashion. It was so funny that I would have laughed, except I was mentally and physically exhausted and had no time to go laughing at a loser. Ben and Donna came down running. They sure appeared to be fine when defending their son. They heard the tale from Shane and said, "Violet, how dare you tell my son to help? This is your job as a housewife. Nate didn't marry to be a parasite in this family. Yes, you have some nerve to stay in my house and tell my son to do your job. He's a man who doesn't have to do feminine work. That's what you are here for. I am not your servant. I am already doing a lot for you guys. The least he can do is make his own meals if he doesn't like mine." Shane literally does nothing but sit around. What he does is none of your business. Now go make him a lasagna. If that's what my baby wants, he will get it. There is no room for arguments. I don't want it anymore. I changed my mind. Violet can give me some money for takeout. That will make up for insulting me today. I was pissed, but knew that arguing with them would be pointless. So I took the money out of my pocket and gave it to Shane. It was a bad day for me. I wanted to cry. However, I didn't do that. Instead, I told myself that my time would come. No one knew that I was already collecting evidence of their misbehavior. I had some recordings on my phone and proof that Shane regularly asked me for money. I wanted to first try and salvage the situation. To be honest, I didn't want to stress Nate any more than he already was. He worked hard to take care of us all, and I wanted to give him something in return. Somehow, I managed to live with them for 6 months. Their behavior never changed. Instead, their demands escalated day by day. Shane still wasn't working or contributing in any way, and I was constantly berating him for being unemployed. Shane never talked back to him. However, when Nate was gone, he took that anger out on me. He made me clean his room, cook meals, and even do his laundry. If I refused, he would complain to Ben and Donna. Then the 3 of them would corner me and verbally abuse me until I gave in. Slowly, I was starting to hit rock bottom. The worst thing happened just when the 6th month came to an end. It was a horrible July with bad thunderstorms. Nate had to be away on a business trip that weekend. Our area was on high alert for tornadoes. Everyone was worried, and even Nate had a hard time being away from us. Just when I was finishing up lunch, Shane came down from his room and said, "You made that food again? Why can't you just follow my damn instructions?" Donna and Ben are both diabetic, Shane. We can't have rich and oily food every day for health reasons. How many times do I have to tell you to make my meal separately? You are such a lazy witch. I wonder what Nate ever saw in you. Since you don't want to cook, you could go get me McDonald's. Are you insane? There is a tornado alert out there. Do you really want me to go out in this weather? Don't be dramatic. It's not that serious. Besides, this is your job. You need to go get me something or make me a new meal from scratch. Oh, my room is also very dirty. You've been slacking off. You better go clean today. Absolutely not. I'm not doing your work anymore. I already have a lot on my plate with stocking groceries and preparing for the storms. From now on, if you don't like anything, you can go cook your own food. You are a grown man, so clean your damn room on your own. What did you just say? Just wait till Mom and Dad hear about this. You will pay for talking to me like this. Shane, as usual, called Ben and Donna. At that moment, I knew things were about to hit the fan, so I got my phone out and started to record. Ben and Donna came down, and Shane cried to them about how bad I was treating him. They said, "You have no shame, Violet. We have told you multiple times that our son went to a woman's job. You never listen to us. You're an ungrateful witch who's wasting Nate's money. I always knew this little witch is a leech. See, I was right. How dare you mistreat my son in my own house? We've been hosting you, and you have no gratitude. I'm tired of working like a dog for you guys. All you three do is sit and complain. There is just so much a person can take. Besides, I'm working enough for this household. You are the ones who are living like parasites. How dare you insult us and call us parasites? It's Nate's duty to look after his parents, and you, as the daughter-in-law, are responsible for taking care of us. Telling her won't work anymore. She's gone too far. We need to teach her a lesson, Ben. Since it is our house, you are no longer welcome here, Violet. If you can't respect us and do your job, you need to get out. Yes, Mom, Dad, kick her out. That will teach her a lesson not to disrespect us in our house." With that, Donna grabbed me by my arm and took me towards the door. Before I could react, she pushed me out the door and locked it behind her. I fell on the wet grass and scratched my hands and knees. I immediately got up and went banging on their door. I said, "No, you can't kick me out. What is wrong with you? There's a tornado coming, and the thunderstorm is already here. You can't keep me outside." "Stop shouting, Violet. It'll be of no use. This will be the perfect lesson for you. Now you will know what it feels like not to have a roof over your head. This is inhumane. You need to let me in. I can't stay out in the storms. It's not safe. I'm already drenched to the bone. Cry as much as you want. We will protect our son first. A girl like you needs to know her place. Now go away before I call the police." I was still banging on their door and crying. The trio just turned and left to their rooms. In a matter of seconds, I was completely soaked and started to shiver from the cold. The storms were already in full force, and I was scared for my life. Just when I had given up hope, a neighbor lady approached me and told me to come with her. I followed her to the house and was finally relieved. She was an old woman who lived next door. She had heard the entire thing and decided to help me. As soon as I reached the neighbor's house, I broke down in sobs. I knew it was time to finally stand up for myself. The neighbor lady helped me and gave me fresh clothes. She even comforted me while I cried on her sofa. But as the storms died down, rage boiled in me and my resolve grew stronger. I immediately coordinated when the network was better. I said, "Nate, there is something I need to tell you." "What happened, Violet? Is everything okay? Has the storm passed? I can see it in the news." "Yes, the tornado didn't happen, but there was a bad thunderstorm. Don't worry. The weather has calmed down." "Oh, then what's wrong, dear? Tell me immediately. I'm getting anxious." "Your parents kicked me out today. I'm at the neighbor's house. I'm calling you from here." "What? That's impossible. Why the hell would they do that?" I'm so sorry, Nate. I tried my best to help your family, but they have been verbally abusing me and overworking me. They kicked me out because I refused to remake a meal for Shane or get takeout for him. That is insane. How did they just kick you out like that? Don't believe me? I will send some videos. You can watch them and then make a decision. I hung up and sent the videos to Nate. Additionally, the neighbor lady called him and told him what she had witnessed herself. It was quiet for some time. Nate told me that he would be back soon. My in-laws, on the other hand, didn't even try to contact me. They were peacefully staying at the house and didn't even want to know if I was safe. However, an hour after I talked to Nate, they started to blow up my phone. When I picked up, they called me back into the house. I went there to have a final confrontation. I said, "What do you want now? After kicking me out, you had no regard for my safety. What's the point of calling me back here?" We made a mistake, Violet. Things happen sometimes. We are family. Don't be mad at us. We will apologize to you. Yes. We can just apologize and move on. Even Shane here will say sorry. Let's just put it past us. Oh, I'm sorry, Violet. This will never happen again. We were being stupid. Wow, that's some change in your behavior. What brought this on, may I ask? Nate called us today. He was pretty upset at us. He said he will look past it if you forgive us. Yeah, if you don't, then he would stop supporting us. You know we are sick and old. Please don't hold a grudge. Without Nate's support, we will be homeless. Good, because that's what you deserve. People who have no empathy for others should not be shown mercy. I will tell Nathan that I won't live with you three anymore, and I don't accept your apology. What Nate does after this is completely his choice. As soon as I said that, the trio started to beg and plead for mercy. They kept repeating that they were sorry and it wouldn't happen again. Shane even dared to say that kicking me out was a small joke that went too far, and that holding grudges is a childish thing. I never paid any attention to them. I gathered some of my things and went to the neighbor's house. I also called and told Nate that I would never forgive my in-laws again. Nate took my decision very seriously. He flew back a day early and went straight to my in-laws. Then he came back and told me that he wasn't going to support them anymore. He was tired of them treating me unfairly, and it was enough. Nate decided to stop sending them rent or paying for their medical bills. He also wouldn't be giving them any allowance. Shane would be completely responsible for Donna and Ben. How he would do that was none of my business. Nate and I then started to look for a new place. We got lucky because one of his colleagues was renting out one of his apartments. We jumped at the offer and started to move our things the next day. Nate also profusely thanked the neighbor lady for protecting me when he couldn't. Suffice to say, we will continue to keep in touch with her. Meanwhile, Ben, Donna, and Shane thought that Nate was bluffing. They did ask for forgiveness, but never actively tried to improve their situation. So, the following month, when Nate didn't send the money, my in-laws were in big trouble. They started to blow up our phones and even called me horrible things. Nate and I simply blocked them on our phones. Any relative who felt sorry for them was sent proof of their misbehavior, and that shut them up real quick. It's been a long time since then. Nate no longer sends them any money. We know that Shane was forced to work in a warehouse and earns very little. The three of them live in a small camper, and things are not looking good for them. Nate and I, on the other hand, have finally put the down payment on our dream home. I am also currently pregnant and expecting our first child. We are looking forward to our new life, away from the leeches that are my in-laws.
I never expected you to be hoarding like that. After all, we're a married couple. There's no reason I shouldn't utilize our shared assets. It's even worse to hide it while looking down on me. My husband and mother-in-law continued to talk as they pleased, and I grew increasingly disgusted with them. Finally, I decided to confront them with reality. By the way, have you checked the name on the passbook? I interjected, exasperated. My name is Lillian, and I'm turning 42 this year. I've been married for 17 years, and before that, I worked at a company. After getting married, I quit my job and started working part-time at a local supermarket. I met my husband Easton at work, and at the time, I thought he was an ordinary and kind man. That perception changed about 6 months into our marriage. One day, while I was preparing dinner, my mother-in-law suddenly visited our house without any notice. My husband hadn't come home from work yet, and I thought there might be some urgent matters, so I let her in. As soon as she saw the living room, she let out a big sigh. "Lillian, you've been idly watching TV until this hour. My son Easton is still working hard, sweating at his job." "Don't you feel sorry?" she scolded. "Yes, I did have the TV on, but until a moment ago, I have been preparing dinner in the kitchen. You might say I'm lazing around, but I finished my housework in the morning, and I just returned from shopping after my part-time job," I replied, irritated but trying to maintain composure. She ostentatiously snorted, went into the kitchen and started finding fault with dinner. "Oh dear, is this all we have for dinner today? Poor Eon working so hard. I've planned for curry and salad today. The salad is in the fridge. How could you let Easton eat such a half-baked meal? I wonder what you've learned at home," she insulted, not just targeting me but also my parents. Finally losing my patience, I asked a bit harshly, "Didn't you need something?" My mother-in-law opened her eyes wide in faux innocence. "Oh my, don't get so mad just because I looked at dinner." "What do you need then?" she retorted, exasperated. "It's not what do you need. Don't you think you should offer something to your mother-in-law who kindly visited? Excuse me, you're such an inconsiderate person," she chastised, settling heavily on the sofa to watch TV. I served her tea, but she complained about everything, including the taste, saying it was cheap. Back then, I was young and avoiding arguments with my husband's mother, wondering if I should be considerate to her. However, taking advantage of the fact that neither my husband nor I said anything, my mother-in-law began to frequently visit our home, constantly complaining about my cleanliness, laziness, and lack of discipline. After being criticized at every turn, I was truly at my wit's end and decided to consult my husband about his mother. "Hey, could you ask your mom to reduce the number of times she comes to our house?" I pleaded. "Why is it that much of a bother when Mom comes over? You've seen it, haven't you? No matter how much I work on the house or cooking, your mom keeps complaining about me," I explained. "Well, that's because Mom wants you, Lillian, to work harder, so she gets tough. I'm doing my best, but as she comes over without notice, I struggle to prepare dinner properly. If it bothers you, speak up for yourself, but remember, Mom cares about us too." My husband remained indifferent throughout. No matter how much effort I put into cleaning or cooking, my mother-in-law would nitpick, never once praising me. Once, the vegetables my mother-in-law brought were clearly close to expiration, so I used them for dinner. She conspicuously scoffed at serving such withered vegetables to her son and herself. That moment, I realized she just wanted to bully me. Persistently criticized, I consulted my father-in-law. When I explained the difficulty of preparing meals for my mother-in-law and the problem of her frequent unannounced visits, he seemed unaware and politely apologized. "I thought she was going out to dinner with friends. I didn't realize she was bothering you, Lillian. I'm sorry," he said. "It's not something for you to apologize for. I've been giving her money for meals, assuming she was dining out, but she hasn't been taking it," I replied. "Unfortunately, no. I'm really sorry." My father-in-law apologized repeatedly. He promised to speak sternly to my mother-in-law, and I thought that would be enough. But then I received a phone call filled with scathing remarks from my mother-in-law. "Hello, you're really ungrateful to my husband like that. I've been going out of my way to check on you, and I didn't expect you to repay my kindness with such ingratitude." "That's not true. I'm not repaying kindness with ingratitude. You should be the one apologizing. It's audacious to claim your inconvenience. I'm educating you in areas where your upbringing was lacking. You should be grateful," my mother-in-law asserted. "I understand what you're saying, but it is inconvenient when you show up without notice. Shouldn't a mother need to make an appointment to visit her own son's house?" "My parents wouldn't do that," I countered. "How brazen you are as a daughter-in-law. You should adapt to the rules of your husband's family no matter what," she retorted, growing increasingly heated until she was yelling so loud I couldn't understand her, and then she hung up. I suspected she called during my father-in-law's absence, so I hesitated to consult him again, fearing more of the same. Despite a slight decrease in frequency, my mother-in-law persisted in visiting our home. My husband, finding solace in complaining about work to her and receiving her sympathy, showed no signs of persuading her to stop the visits anytime soon. Witnessing his attitude, my mother-in-law became even more cheerful, and they both began to blame me. "Lilan, you don't show enough respect to Mom," my husband chimed in. "That's right. Tell her more. I'm only getting a small allowance, even though I'm the one earning the money," my mother-in-law complained. They continued to eat the meals I prepared while complaining about them, chatting and laughing in a living room I had just cleaned. When washing the dishes, my husband would demand, "At least prepare the bath," expecting me to get everything ready from bath towels to his pajamas. My mother-in-law didn't reprimand him but instead sided with him, saying, "Poor thing, having such an inconsiderate wife." I consulted with my father-in-law again, receiving yet another profuse apology, but I was exhausted with the fact that my mother-in-law's actions remained unchanged. Days passed in the same manner until one day I noticed that a necklace handed down to me by my own mother was missing. When I asked my husband, he claimed he didn't know and coldly dismissed me with, "You probably lost it due to your own carelessness." The truth came out when my mother-in-law visited our home again during dinner time. Mother-in-law, that necklace," I started, but she interrupted me. "Oh dear, it's quite disgraceful to desire something someone else is wearing," she retorted, wearing the very necklace I had lost. It had a unique, unusual design with a peculiar ornament unmistakable to me. "When you accuse me of stealing from you, it not only reveals your upbringing but also labels me a criminal," she added with a triumphant smile. Provoked beyond restraint, I reached for her necklace. My mother-in-law purposefully screamed, and just then my husband, who had returned home earlier than usual, opened the front door. Seeing me, he pushed me hard, causing me to crash into the wall and crouch down in pain. He then turned to me, accusing, "Just like Mom said, you've been bullying her while I'm not here, haven't you?" "That's right, Easton. Lillian is really terrible," my mother-in-law chimed in. "I just wanted to get along. No, listen. The necklace your mother is wearing is the one I said I lost." "I don't want to hear any excuses," I pleaded. "Mom, let's eat out tonight." "You better reflect on your actions," my husband declared, pulling my mother-in-law away. "Such a sweet boy Easton really is," she praised, leaving with my husband. The shock of not being able to retrieve my necklace, along with the anger towards my husband for siding with my mother-in-law without even listening to me, made my pent-up frustrations explode. That same day, I decided to take revenge. Once again, I had a talk with my father-in-law. While he apologized to me, he listened attentively to my story. I discovered that he was also fed up with my mother-in-law's outrageous behavior. During this conversation, I decided to devise a plan. When my mother-in-law, as usual, came to our house without learning her lesson, flaunting the necklace and enjoying my reaction, I deliberately told her, "I forgot to buy something. Could you look after the house for a bit?" Normally, She would have retorted with something scathing, but this time she smiled sweetly and agreed, saying, "Of course, why don't you take your time? You're always busy with housework. Thank you." Leaving my mother-in-law at home, I went out alone to the supermarket parking lot, holding my pounding heart, testing the malice of those close to me. If I could get definitive evidence, I could take my revenge. Yet part of me also hoped that my mother-in-law and husband would reflect on their actions and change. Exactly 30 minutes later, I returned home with shopping bags. What greeted me was my mother-in-law in the living room, messily eating dinner with my husband. "Oh, you were late, so we started without you," my husband said. Today's dinner was more plain than usual. "Don't be sorry for Mom," he remarked. "But I asked mother-in-law to watch the house because I forgot to buy something," I interjected. "No more excuses. Be careful next time," my husband retorted, acting even more arrogant because of my mother-in-law's presence. After cleaning up dinner, I checked what happened to the trap. As expected, it seemed like the trap had been set off. Seeing it, my husband smirked, mocking me, looking uglier than ever. His triumphant smile resembled my mother-in-law's when she showed off the necklace. I couldn't help but laugh, realizing that the day of revenge came sooner than I thought. On my husband's day off, both him and my mother-in-law called me to the living room. Seeing the two of them in high spirits, I sat across from them, pretending to know nothing. "Hey, why didn't you tell us? What are you talking about?" I feigned innocence. "About the bank book. If you had that much money, you could have told us. Now you can show filial pity to Mom, too," my husband chided. "I don't understand what you're talking about," I replied, maintaining my composure. "Don't play dumb. We're talking about your bank book," my mother-in-law interjected. "Oh," I managed to say without showing any signs of panic. They happily started laying out the estimate papers for a single-family house on the table. "Mom and Dad, you and me, we bought a new 2-family house," my husband announced. "But what do you mean? Why are you moving forward with this without me?" I questioned. "Lilan, you really do hate me, don't you? That's why you're saying you don't want to live together," my husband accused. "Hey, cut it out. You're being rude," my mother-in-law scolded him. "Who's being rude? It's far more disrespectful for you two to use my money without my permission," I retorted. "People with bad upbringing really have bad mouths," my mother-in-law snapped back. I struggled to suppress a laugh at the two of them, amazed at how terrible they truly were. I had become hardened, but my resolve to take revenge never wavered, because it was these two who had molded me this way. "We found a perfect newly built property for sale, so we've already signed a contract. No matter what you say, it's too late now anyway. I didn't know you were saving up that much. Besides, we're married, so there's no reason for you to complain about using our shared property," my husband declared. "That's right. It's worse to hide it," my mother-in-law chimed in. "By the way, did you check the name on the bank book?" I interrupted. The two of them froze at my words. Seeing that, I finally couldn't hold back and burst into laughter. They checked the name on the bank book and then looked at me with faces drained of blood. "What the hell is this? It's exactly what you're seeing. Why is it under our person's name?" My husband exclaimed. "I never said it was my bank book. So what does that mean? You stole Dad's bank book, you thief," I accused. "Who's the thief? You went out of your way to pry open a locked drawer and took it, but you were hiding it so carefully," my mother-in-law retorted. "Oh, so it's okay to steal things that your daughter-in-law treasures?" "I guess that's how you were raised, mother-in-law," I retorted. "Don't talk back to Mom. You should watch your mouth," my husband interjected. "Do you know why father-in-law gave this to me?" I questioned. "Why?" "What are you saying?" my husband asked. "I heard from father-in-law about the reason mother-in-law has been spending so much money lately. You two took a vacation while taking time off from work, didn't you? Well, that's it. It seems you told the company whatever you wanted as the reason for taking time off, like I had a fever or went back to my parents' home," I revealed. I received a call from the department head, and he was speechless when I told him the truth. I continued. Finally realizing their predicament, the two exchanged troubled glances, but I had no intention of forgiving them over something like this. While we were silent, the door conveniently rang. When I went to the entrance and brought the visitor into the living room, the two let out a small scream. It was my mother-in-law who had come to our house unannounced. I contacted my father-in-law. "Why are you here? I've told you countless times not to cause trouble for Lylin," he admonished. But there are no buts. When will you two start behaving properly, Dad? I interjected. She had your bank book, my husband blurted out. So what are you calling her she for? My father-in-law retorted. I didn't raise you to be so rude. You're old enough to know better. It's embarrassing to hear you calling Mom all the time. If you can't treasure your wife, what's the point of calling her she? If you say that she has treasured me too, are you saying you're not being treasured? My husband countered. I've been working so as not to cause you trouble, and I thought I'd managed to save a decent amount of money. I've tried my best to give you both financial freedom, allowing you to do as you please. And now you expect me to turn a blind eye to the mistreatment of your wife? Throughout this exchange, whenever they tried to make an excuse, my father-in-law would fire back, unrelenting until they were rendered speechless. He delivered the final blow to the two who were shrinking and hanging their heads. By the way, about the bank book, my father-in-law continued, I left with Lylin. I told her to take it as a nuisance fee because I felt bad about how much trouble you two have been causing. No matter how much I warn you, you continue, and you two even bought a house with that stolen money. What more should I do for you? The two couldn't say anything, and my mother-in-law ended up being taken home by my father-in-law. Before she left, I pointed at her neck and was able to safely recover the necklace. Seeing this, my husband guessed what had happened and forced his mother to bow her head in the now quiet living room. I handed the divorce papers to my husband, who was completely deflated. Why? What do you mean, why? He stammered. After all this, you still think we can stay married? But you're only mad at Mom. Of course, I'm disgusted with you too. No, I want a divorce, he protested. Then shall we go to court? We'd have to expose everything you've done to the court and your company, though, I countered. Oh yes, we've got it all on camera. You two breaking open the lock and taking the bank book clearly shows you two desperately breaking a lock, my father-in-law added. No, you're lying. It's amazing how you can call others thieves after doing such a thing. I wonder what kind of upbringing you had, my husband exclaimed. All of that will be made public, and you'll probably have to cover the $300K you used of your father-in-law's money, my compensation, and the court fees. What are you going to do? I asked calmly. Why can you say such cruel things? You still don't get it. Should we have your father lecture again? My husband replied. I accepted the divorce papers from my dejected husband and finally became a free woman. As for the $300K I received from my father-in-law, I decided to accept it again as a nuisance and consolation fee for my ex-husband and ex-mother-in-law. Under my father-in-law's supervision, the two of them had to work tirelessly to repay him. Later, I received an email from my ex-husband to a free email address, seemingly asking for reconciliation, but I ignored and deleted it. Thanks to being free from my source of stress, my health has improved, and I'm spending my time freely with the money I received from my father-in-law.